Hello and welcome to episode 229 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and I like to shout out with kudos to our double basketball gold medal winners, the U.S. men, U.S. women. Draymond Green and Kevin Durant can yell at me because I was the doubter. I didn't think they were going to, I knew they weren't going to run away with it. And I thought that the way they were playing, they could maybe not win the gold. And I was wrong. And so Kevin Durant, if you're listening to our podcast, I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, the one loss they had to France in the qualifying apparently was, their whole team wasn't there yet. They were just getting their sea legs or whatever you want to call it. And they pretty much ran the table after that. And most of the games weren't even close. So, much ado about nothing again.
The best game I saw in the tournament, though, was Serbia and France.
That was a fantastic game.
It was a fantastic game, and you win the game on a block shot if you're France, and you lose the game on a block shot if you're Serbia. And it was exciting, and I enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed watching the style of play. Although Luka was banged up, and Gerchek was Drazen, what's his name?
Gordon Dragic.
Gordon was a shell of itself.
Yeah, that's why when I hear the Mavs, I know that they're friends and, the Mavs need a player like that. But as good as he is at times in Miami, he's one of those, he's just always banged up now. And I don't know if you want to give up an asset to get a guy that can't seem to stay on the court.
No.
I would say...
If you're Dallas, you need something. You need another option. A big-time option, consistent option.
Yeah. Well, I noticed two things out of the Olympics. One, you weren't getting the BS NBA calls, which apparently the NBA is also going to address this year. You're not going to be, because you watch, now, I did very little refereeing in basketball, but I had to do it for the camp for a while, and I had more of the Olympic mindset where, if you just barrel down the lane with no plan and it's clear you're just looking for a foul, I'm never going to give you the call. And in Europe, it seems like that's what in the Olympic basketball, they're not doing that for you. And you're not going to be able to flop into somebody. You're not going to be able to kick your legs out and get a call. All things that people hate. And it looks like the NBA is finally taking notice, which is good. But then I thought the games flowed better as far as time and everything else.
Yeah, I do think they flowed better. And it wasn't as many fouls as there usually is. And it always still takes me a while to get used to you can take the ball off the rim rule.
Yeah. Which I don't think that one needs to be adopted. But, like I said, you get rid of some of the BS calls, and then, I know they're never going to, just the time format. Those games were quick. They felt fast. They didn't feel like a drag as some of the regular NBA season games seem to go with the different time, the time constraints on it it seemed like, right. It also seemed like when USA got down 15 and rallied back and ended up winning that game, if you're watching a regular season NBA game with the 4 quarters and as long as it is, somebody goes down early 15, it doesn't feel important. And I know obviously this is the push for the medal and the entire world is on you, but it felt like the way the game is structured, it felt like a 15-point deficit meant a lot more. It was much more of a sense of urgency that we need to get back now because you have less time too. But I know the NBA is not going to make that change, but I did like the other changes I thought were pretty good, and hopefully those get implemented.
No, and the Super Diane Taurasi combo, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
7 consecutive gold medals, that's impressive. And they really weren't pushed.
No.
They're just really good.
But
that was fun. And I want to shout out the women's volleyball who won the gold medal, which they hadn't done before.
Yeah.
And that was exciting to see that happen. And again, I've seen some really good women's college volleyball in the U.S. And it's nice to see that we're getting to be that good at a game we invented.
It's good that we are, yes. Now on the other side, all props to women's U.S. national soccer, but you can't send your old timers to play an Olympic that you can expect to win.
No, they're a little long in the tooth. I agree with that. And the same thing with baseball.
Yeah, and it's not like we don't have good young women.
Minor leaguers, and again, we lose a game to Japan, and we invented the game, and they learned it in the 1940s. So, interesting.
Yeah, because the soccer thing, it's there are a lot of really good young women's soccer players over here that probably should have been on that team. And I know from a marketing standpoint, these are the women we know. These are the women that, are from Subway ads and the ads everybody knows. But it's one thing if you have one or two of them on there as sort of a, an honorarium or like the guy in Ted Lasso, but you got to have
It's
young legs.
unfortunate the goalie got hurt too, though.
It is.
But I'm not saying that was the difference maker. I mean, it didn't help, but I don't think it was a difference maker.
No, I don't think so. Well, we also had some other exciting. This is sort of we'll do our Steelers / Hall of Fame minute right now because the Hall of Fame went off, and we got to see guys in gold jackets. There were people in attendance, despite the Delta thing. And I obviously we're pretty biased because Bill Cowher, Alan Faneca, and my top 3 all-time favorite Steeler, Troy Polamalu, got in the Hall of Fame, and it was really nice to watch.
Yes, and Donnie Shell and Bill Nunn.
Yeah, 5 Steelers.
So five Steelers going in, and the crowd was in evidence that's it was a Pittsburgh crowd.
Very much so. They were very loud, very enthusiastic, and Troy Polamalu was, his bust looks really cool with the long flowing hair. I thought it might come out really bad, but that one actually came out looking pretty good.
It came out looking very good. Adrian James has looked pretty good with the dreads too.
It did. They're finally, the hair is a tough thing to do, I think, whether you're talking about video games or drawing.
And they've been challenged. They've been challenged this year with Polamalu and Adrian James, but they did a good job.
Very good job. And, again, shout out to Polamalu. Like I said, he's one of my all-time favorite Steelers. Love watching him play. And there's a couple clips going around where you can watch Polamalu highlights. And if you're an NFL fan, even if you've already seen them, they're worth watching because he was just such a unique player that you just don't get to see a lot of the crazy freelance, Tasmanian devil all over the field doing all sorts of incredible things.
It was a lot of fun. I'll be watching tonight when Hines Ward presents Alan Faneca. And Jason and I are both big, huge Hines Ward fans. And he needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
He does. And the Hall of Fame, also meant the Hall of Fame game, which also featured the Steelers and the Cowboys, which was incredible. It did really well in the ratings, even if it wasn't a joy to watch. But football is back. And
Football's back, and people needed to watch an NFL game with fans there.
They did. And we have football for, I think it's the next, 26 consecutive weeks? Between college and pros, or maybe it's even longer than that. But yeah, so football is back. We're getting NFL every week, and it's very, very exciting.
I'm excited about it. And I'm actually going to be in Pittsburgh Tuesday through Saturday, and Thursday night I'll be able to watch a Steeler game with Steeler broadcasters in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
On TV. So I'm excited about that.
And I'm going to give my annual pitch to the NFL, which I know DirecTV has it right now, but they need to have the super fan package all the time. I don't know why that hasn't a thing yet, where you get the rights and you can broadcast you can watch the national version, or if you're a Steelers fan in Florida or Louisiana, you can watch the local package. And that is going to include your Tomlin show, your post-game show, and your incredibly biased Yinsens doing the broadcast, which I don't know why that's not a thing, because I would pay extra money for that in a heartbeat.
I would too. And there's nothing like Yinzers doing the broadcast.
No, and obviously if you're from Philly or New England or wherever you're from, you want to get a little bit of the home broadcast.
You want to have that too.
And you want to get access to, just like you were home, you're watching, because if you watch it in Pittsburgh, you get the Mike Tomlin show, and you want all those sorts of, accoutrement with you. And I just, again, please NFL do that. I know I don't know who listens to the show, but make that happen, because that would be super awesome. People would definitely pay extra for that.
No doubt. So it's fun. Shout out and R.I.P. Bobby Bowden.
Yes.
At age 91, passing. And my Bobby Bowden memory is that I went to a game at Florida State when one of my former students, Scott Cull, was working at Florida State. And he took Mom and I into the locker room for the post-game for Bobby Bowden's press conference. And it was highly entertaining and just really, really genuine. It was a really, I remember it, had to be at least 25 years ago. But it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. And he'll be missed, and he's second in all-time victories. And just a shout-out to Bobby Bowden.
And we are going to do a little more.
Great job rebuilding Florida State.
Very much so. And we are going to do more NFL football, but I guess we should talk football real quick, because I think the biggest sports story of the week, worldwide, is Messi joining Neymar in PSG. Which, you and I are not great soccer fans. We both know Neymar, we both know Messi, and to see them get to play together, I'm sure is like, the world's version of a super team.
And I watched Messi's press conference, which was very genuine, very heartfelt. And you could tell that his heart still is in Barcelona, and he really didn't want to go, but he realized that he had to go. That was the only way it was going to work. But it was very, very genuine, very, very moving. It wasn't an athlete going somewhere for money. He would have liked to have stayed if he could have.
Again, very sincere, but like I said, getting to see him play in PSG with Neymar is sort of the equivalent of, Braun and AD. It's the Brooklyn Nets. It's all those sorts of things, but on a worldwide level, and you're seeing some of the most skilled players ever. So.
And that'll transition me into why I watched the Yankees yesterday. And that has to be the biggest baseball team I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're pretty jacked.
They are jacked. I mean, in a row, you've got Rizzo, Stanton,
Judge.
I mean, you get monsters all in a row. And you get that short porch and left, and a short porch and right. And they're going to be tough to beat down the stretch now that they've added this. And Joey Gallo, he really hasn't started to hit yet, but that's another jack guy. It's incredible, that team.
Yeah.
And if they get any pitching, they're going to be a real threat in the postseason.
Okay. Oh, and one more football moment. This is I forget what anniversary it is, but a really good sports movie, Victory, which, the general premise, you have a bunch of, Allied forces trapped by the Nazis. The Nazis apparently love soccer, and they decide to have a match where the Nazis are pretty evil. You get to see some terrible Sylvester Stallone acting and even worse goaltending.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone is a goalie in that movie, if I remember.
But they did something that all sports movies should do, which is Pele, the greatest sportsman ever. He's in the movie.
Yeah.
And almost everybody else in the film was an actual professional football or soccer player.
Yeah, Prins was a famous soccer player from Holland. Yeah, they had some really, really named people in there.
And the last 30 minutes are shot like you're watching like a really good soccer match, and everything down to the bicycle kick at the end, and they did a lot of the things that the original Longest Yard did, where they let the guys really play, so that when you're seeing them, somebody get past somebody or somebody score, it actually happened, and it did. It came off less cheesy in Hollywood. And like I said, Michael Caine, they do a good job, despite the fact that he probably couldn't run 10 feet, of just showing him up top, and then whenever he's got the ball, his feet are on somebody else's feet. So it's a quality movie. You can't beat Nazis as a bad guy. So
yeah,
it's worth a watch.
As Harrison Ford proved in the first Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Nazis are consistently the bad guys that you always hate.
Always hate them. And again, like I said, there's some really good soccer in it, despite Stallone being just awful as a goalie, as you can imagine. But he did. I did read that he lost 30 pounds for the role, because he figured if he was in a Nazi camp, he would look, a little bit more, less bulky, Rambo, Rocky Stallone, and more, shredded Stallone. So. And I did hear also, Rex, the whole article I read before I watched the movie again, is that the original title was Escape to Victory, which seems to make more sense. But I don't know if they were worried about it being close to The Great Escape or whatever it was. But I thought the original
probably
title
so, because you still had the POWs and everything else. Yeah, that's probably a good point.
But I still think Escape to Victory is a much better title. But, whatever. But yeah, that's something you can check out. And then now we can begin. We're going to do a different conference every week. And we're not starting with the Steelers conference. We are starting with the Patriots conference. We're starting with the AFC East and our general predictions. I assume that, like me, you have in fourth place in that division the Jets, Jets.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting year, because there's a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And you've had number one quarterbacks before and haven't panned out. And this is going to be really interesting to see how this works out.
Well, I know the little wide receiver they got out of Ole Miss apparently is just tearing it up in camp and looks great. I know Zach Wilson, who got to camp late, kind of struggled his first couple of days. I would say, on the outside looking in, they built up the offensive line. Getting Michael Carter out of North Carolina in the fourth round as running back is a nice thing. I don't know how much to believe in the Zach Wilson hype, but you have a better coach than you've had probably in a decade there, maybe since Herm Edwards. And I do think if you're a Jets fan,
I think they'll be a better team than they were. I'm thinking 6-11, 7-10.
I think they might only win 4 or 5 games, but I think you're going to be excited as a Jets fan. I think you're going to see a team that, looks like they've got the pieces in place, and, they're maybe not going to get the victories because they're in a really difficult conference.
Right.
And I could see them going 0-6 in the division or 1-5 in the division, but still not being an embarrassment. I think they're a fun play. If you're a Jets fan, you've got all these young guys at skill positions, a much better coach, and maybe you're sort of building your way towards being,
Yeah, if you're a Jets fan, the difference between last year and this year is going to be like the Grand Canyon. You're going to be a lot happier. But it's still a tough place for a young quarterback to play.
It is. Who do you have in third in the division?
I've got to put New England in third.
Wow, we agree with that, yeah.
I don't think Cam Newton plays past. I don't think Cam Newton's the quarterback in October. And he might not be the quarterback in September, but I'm going to go that Belichick probably is not going to start a rookie in the first game. But I'm also going to go the fact that he's not going to play Cam Newton past October.
And I'm sure any of the Mountain NFL fan has already heard all the ridiculous camp stories, and as people have pointed out, like, you can't tell anything until we really put pads on, and most teams have not. But that, they really like, I guess Cam and Mac Jones get along really well. Mac Jones imitated Cam in a skit, when they do the little dining hall skits at football camp. They get along really well, but that Mac Jones just throws a better football. And ultimately, no matter what you can do, throwing the football is the number one thing the quarterback needs to be able to do.
And I think there's a lot to be said for somebody that played for Saban moving on to playing for Belichick. I think the demand and the intensity and the focus is not very different. I think you'll have an easier time than most adjusting to playing for Belichick.
And I also think the Patriots have done a nice job of adding tight ends. They're bringing back guys. They had the most guys, significant guys, sit out due to COVID last year. And I think they're going to be significantly improved. I just think that, they've got a tough schedule, and I think the other 2 teams in the division, I just like them a little bit better. And
yeah. Do you think they'll have a winning record?
I think they'll have a winning record. I think you got Belichick a coach. I think Highsmith and some of those guys coming back on defense. I mean, you added Hunter Henry and that other tight end that I can't remember his name of. You added a couple wide receivers. You drafted some skill position guys. While Sony Michel, you still got Damian Harris, who ran the ball really well. Like I said, I could see them, I think this division might end up being like normally there's a division that has like 3 teams that are vying for playoff spots. I think the AFC East is going to have 3 teams vying for a playoff spot. And I think the Patriots are going to be right in that mix, but they're either going to be a wild card or they're just going to miss out, would be my guess.
I'm looking 9-8, maybe 10-7.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Which brings us to number 2. I'm going to put the Dolphins there. I think there's a huge gap between 2 and 1. But I'm going to put the Dolphins at 2, and big question mark for Tua. I mean, is he the guy or not the guy? And they're going to find out this year.
I actually have the Dolphins coming in first place. I love the Dolphins.
So you love the Dolphins over the Bills?
I do.
Okay.
I think the Bills...
Right. Why don't you talk about the Dolphins then, and why you like the Dolphins better than the Bills?
All right. I think the only thing separate, talent-wise, you got Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. He just re-signed. They restructured his deal, got him his money. He doesn't want to leave now. I love the Dolphins coach. I think he's a fantastic coach. You have questions at running back because it's like Gaskin or some of those other guys. I don't think they've got a lot there. But I really like Geslecki at tight end. They've got a nice young offensive line between Albert Wilson, Parker, and they've got a couple of other nice receivers. And the really only question mark they have is obviously Tua. But I'm a big Tua stan. I believe in Tua. I mean, he was tank for Tua for an entire 2 seasons. Like, he was the guy that, took the job over at Alabama and didn't let go and led that team to a national championship. And I think he was coming off, the weird hip injury, going into the pandemic year, and then being put in a situation where, I just don't think that was an ideal situation to step into last season.
Okay.
And I think he was tentative, but I think, like I said, I'm a big Tua fan, and I think, I think they've just got a really good squad, and I think they're going to surprise a few people, including the Buffalo Bills.
I got them 11-6 going the wild card.
Okay. Like I said, I think all three of these teams we're talking about. I think the AFC East is a really good division, and I can see any three of those teams, all three making the playoffs, or all one team. It's going to be tough, but I really like those teams.
Yeah, I'm going, like I said, 11-6. And then I'm going maybe 14-3 or 13-4 for Buffalo.
Okay.
I like Josh Allen having another year and having had some playoff experience now under his belt. And I never underestimate the impact of the weather in Buffalo.
Very true.
And I like the defense. I like the signings. I like what they've got. I like how they played last year. I think they'll even be better this year.
Oh, I can't argue with any of those. Like I said, I was real close, but I think we're going to see. I think the Dolphins they have so much talent and such a good coach, and I know obviously the quarterback is the most important position in all of professional sports, especially team sports at the very least. But I got to sell out. I got to believe for Tua.
Good.
And I think that, like I said, I think the Bills are going to be right there. I think it's going to be like a Steelers, Ravens. Whoever wins the last meeting is probably the team that wins the division. The other one's getting the wild card.
Okay. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
But a lot of talent in that division.
It
like
really
you
is.
said.
Well.
So next week, do we stick with the AFC? We go all through the AFC and then do the NFC, or we're going to go geographically and do the NFC East next week? What do you want to do?
Let's go NFC East. We'll just go right across the country.
Okay.
I have a couple of entertainment moments. The first one, it's on AMC Plus. It's called The North Water. It's sort of a dark, gritty Colin Farrell drama, suspense drama, where he's a crazy harpoonist, a brutish harpoonist named Henry Drax. And they're on an ill-fated journey through the Arctic. And we're sort of following this character, Patrick Summer, who's hoping to escape his past, and he ends up on this ship with Colin Farrell's brutish harpooner. Now, if you know the Colin Farrell type show that he would probably be interested in, it's the same kind of thing that Tom Hardy would have fit right into. That's sort of what you're getting. And there are some pretty brutal harpooning scenes, so I would caution sensitive viewers to that. But it's a really sort of fun. It feels like Moby Dick brought to life. It's sort of a gritty sort of show, I would say. And again, not for everybody, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Colin Farrell seems to be having a lot of fun, and it seems to be the kind of role that he's, just very much in. And then we finished Kevin Can F Himself, the hybrid comedy drama, also on AMC. It's been a big AMC month, and that show, it really grows on you, especially once you learn the cadence of going from multicam sitcom to sort of dark, gritty drama and back and forth as you watch this woman sort of in and out of her life. But I think it's worth a watch. It's very different than what you're normally used to see. I would say that. So.
Okay. For entertainment, I will give you. I watched episode 3 of season 2 of Ted Lasso, and it just, it is a feel-good story. That's all I can say about it. And I'm always entertained. It's a feel-good story. You might say it's predictable. Yeah, it's predictable. Although the results on the soccer pitch are not. Like, it's not, they're not turning it around. Like right now, you don't know if they're going to get back be relegated again next year or not. It's not like this turnaround story like Major League or something where you're expecting them, now it's all coming together, now it's going to be this. They're turning a corner, so we'll see, but they haven't won a game yet, so we'll see. But that's been enjoyable. And I'm also, on the literary side, I'm reading Billy Summers by Stephen King, and it's very, very good. It's a really compelling Stephen King story. So if you like Stephen King's writing, I will say there's no monsters and no horror in this one. It's just one of those other genres that Stephen King seems to write really, really well in and do a really good job. But it's been very, very entertaining.
Very nice. I sadly don't think I have any food moments for anybody this week.
I do not have a food moment either, but I will have a number of them next week in Pittsburgh.
Yes. I guess I did get, I think I mentioned this place before, but Polly G's, which is a new pizza place down here. I got their pizza delivered through DoorDash, and the pizza was still really good. It's very much a New York style slice with fresh ingredients, and if you're looking for pizza down here, it definitely should be near the top of your list. So, Paulie G's.
Holy geez, that sounds like a mob guy.
Yeah, and it, like I said, they have either Sicilian slices or your traditional New York slices. It's a pretty big pie, and you get the curly pepperoni, which we both really like. So
Good.
yeah, but I kind of mentioned that one already. But like I said, never got it delivered before. But the delivery quality held up pretty well.
NBA free signings, NBA free agent signings just about over. Not really great surprises, but fun. Be LeBron. We talked about the Lakers last week.
I like LeBron's
It's a good
tweet
fun
this
team
week.
to watch.
Did you see LeBron's tweet?
No, I did not.
He basically said, all this negativity and hate, make sure you not only keep it up to date, but keep it up all season, because that's what we love to see. Which, isn't necessary. It felt less like LeBron trying to be the villain and more being like, go ahead, bring it on. Wait till you see what we got to put together. And then, like you said, you and I are both big fans of what they've done, and obviously,
Yeah.
And I also saw the, Black Adam Schefter or Black Wachowski, but they were basically saying that if, in the Jordan LeBron debate, if LeBron can get Carmelo and Westbrook a ring, that officially makes him the greatest basketball player of all time. Which, is kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm still not sure I'm going to jump on that one.
No, like I said, I've always liked the nightclub where there's different velvet ropes and Jordan and Russell and
just
Bird
one
and
of those
Magic
things.
and LeBron are all in there hanging out, and other superstars can't quite get in, and some are a floor below, and some of them can't even see him, and I don't think you can ever get really much more debatable than that.
No. And, we talk about NFL every week. I just hope that we control COVID as best we can with the variant.
Yeah.
And just some of these players wise up.
Well, I mean, obviously, hopefully once it comes down to that, the FDA supposedly is less than a month out from officially green-lighting their approval because they've gone through their entire process, which, according to surveys, is the reason some people have not jumped on board. I don't know if that's just been an excuse people that don't want to get it used is like another logical reason they wouldn't, but,
And speaking of logical, I want to close the show with I'm going to start every week. I'm going to put somebody in my doghouse.
Okay.
This week it's Brian DeChambeau, who says that the reason he hasn't gotten the vaccine is because he's young and healthy, and he needs to save it for people that need it. Implying that there's a vaccine shortage, and we all know they're not.
No, they are destroying thousands of vials
Weak
every year.
excuse. And I would hope to God players will refuse to be in this threesome in a tournament and ostracize the guy. So he's in my doghouse. He's probably staying there for a while too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because there is no shortage of
That'll be
vaccines.
our new feature, our doghouse feature.
Yeah, there's no shortage of vaccines out there. It's incredibly easy to get. I was at the CVS for a total of 30 minutes, and the 20 minutes I was supposed to be waiting in a chair, I just walked around the CVS. So it's so easy to get. I don't know what else to tell you. But that'll probably do it till next week, and
Everybody have a great week. Stay safe and healthy.